my best friend. That's my best friend.
Peace and assalamu alaikum, family. This is your brother Malcolm Flex TV, back with another video. Okay, and I wanted to do this video because I wasn't able to call into the show the night that this interview and this conversation actually took place. And I would like to send a huge shout out to my dear brother Ben X, for the phenomenal, extraordinary job he did in this video. He handled himself masterfully in this video. So we got to give that brother his props, his kudos, okay, for being a fine representation of the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan with this interview. Because your brother, prior to it, didn't know exactly where it would go. You know, and like I told my brother, because I know my brother is very mature, I thought that he was mature enough to have this conversation with Tommy Sotomayor. So I support and back the brother completely, 100%, to have this discussion. And this discussion was, you know, talking about women, more specifically black women, was the gist of the discussion, and the relationship between black women and black men. Again, a profound discussion. Family, if you haven't check this video out and had a chance to see this video, go and watch it. And let me tell you, even the recap, although the recap is 4 hours long, okay, when Brother Ben, you know, had people come in on the panel to talk to Tommy, was even just as great, just as phenomenal. A major learning lesson for everybody who participated and everybody who listened and viewed in on the video. Okay? My brother handled his business and he did a wonderful job. So shout out to Brother Ben X. And, you know, just to talk about the topic, you know, because Brother Tommy Sotomayor made a lot of great points. He made a lot of great points that I personally agree with. You know, and one thing that he mentioned, without getting in our emotions, without getting in our feelings and feeling some kind of way, just listen to reason. He pointed out how in this society, mainly men, more specifically black men, we have to abide by many standards, and we let a lot of women get a pass, right? Which some of that is true, right? And, you know, so from coming from that perspective, basically saying that accountability for each and every individual, regardless of gender, okay, or race, that everybody should take accountability and responsibility for their actions and their words. From what I was getting from Tommy. That's what I was getting from Tommy. And basically what he was saying was you shouldn't be you shouldn't be as hard as we are on men and not coming with the same energy as it pertains to women. I understand that. Me being an individual, especially FOI, breaking up many fights between men and women, okay, and being an individual who had knives and guns pulled out on me, personally, had knives and guns pulled out on me for defending black women, right? And a lot of times, not all the times, but a lot of times, I've learned personally that it's not always the man, okay? Yeah, sometimes we get there at the tail end of the situation, but we always have to investigate on what caused this situation. And some of the times, dealing with these sisters be dead wrong. Not all of them, but many of them. You know, and it took me to bump my head several times, having guns and knives put out on me, to actually learn to listen to both sides before I make a judgment, before I go into action trying to defend anybody, because the first law of nature is the law of self-preservation. So you want to always make sure that you are safe and you are okay first before you get involved. And then you have to listen to both parties and see who's in the wrong and what to do and where to go from there. Okay, that's what you call conflict resolution. So I totally understand his point, and I agree with him on that point. I agree with brother on that point that every male and female has to take self-accountability for their wrongdoings, for their errors and their mistakes. However, the method that the brother chooses to propagate his ideology and the way he thinks, I disagree, and I believe it's a little contradiction in there, right? And here's the contradiction that your brother sees, okay? And I think Brother Ben X did a wonderful job skillfully navigating through the conversation and not giving too much of statements on how he feel, but just, asking the brother questions so we can understand where he's coming from and what his mind frame is. Before we just go ahead and judge the brother, we give him the opportunity in the proper light that everybody should be afforded and awarded. Okay? So Brother Ben X did a wonderful job doing that. But the contradiction that bothered me was, because he said that, we should speak in the language of the people, which I agree, right? And sometimes we got to get in the mud with our people to pull them out of the mud. I understand that whole concept. I get that, right? But when the brother said, I got to use the language that they use to get their attention, right? And that's the part that didn't sit well with me. And that's the part that I don't agree with. Okay? Now, we can agree without being disagreeable, and we can disagree without being disagreeable, and we can disagree without being disrespectful. Right? So I respectfully disagree with that notion, because in the nation we are taught that you can't raise a nation no higher than this woman. So the more we degrade and disrespect her, she will continuously think that of herself. Like Tommy said in the video. When you grow up a certain way and you have a certain conditioning, and your mom or your dad is constantly force feeding you certain behaviors, or you grew up seeing your dad beat up on your mama, right? You don't like what's being done to your mom at that point, but you just subconsciously inherited a bad character trait from your parents, and so when you get older, you begin to do the same thing subconsciously, right? Which I understand that, right? But to say that you gonna call the sisters bitches just to get their attention, well, brother, Tommy, you were doing the same thing subconsciously. Okay, you were beating this up into these sisters, and later on down the line, they gonna think that's exactly what they are, a bitch. Right? So I don't think disrespecting the sisters will get them to wake up. It may get their attention, but I think, in my personal opinion, all you're doing is just going to piss them off and make them even more mad. Right? Going to make them even more mad, right? So I just think that the way we are taught in the Nation of Islam is that we have to be unalike from our people. We are not going among our people in a savage, uncivilized way that they already expect us. We have to be the clean glass next to the dirty glass. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the people would choose the clean glass every time. So you can get the sisters' attention when you call them a queen or a sister or a black woman. You can still get their attention and get a better result than you would get than calling a sister a bitch. Okay? So I think all in all, I think us being able to come together as black people, us being able to come together as black men and black women and having conflict resolution and really discussing these situations and to really get a chance to understand each other would allow us to build bridges instead of walls. Because a lot of the times, you know, with controversial people like Tommy Sotomayor, that at just hearing the man's name, we put up a wall and we block him out. We don't want to hear what this man has to say. Right? And even Brother Ben X took some criticism from people coming on his page just for having Tommy on his platform. But these are the same people who have never even supported Brother Ben X's page or any of his social medias. So we got people coming out the woodworks who don't like Tommy all of a sudden trying to dictate to Brother Ben X who he should bring on his platform and who he should not bring on his platform, which isn't fair. Not only you doing yourself a disservice, but you are being unjust to Brother Ben X. So I think that we all should really look at these things and listen to everything that's being said, because I think everyone who has something to say on the recap, right, and even in the interview, has something valuable to bring to the table and bring to the discussion. Okay, so this is your brother, Malcolm Flex TV. I appreciate you all for tuning in. If this is your first time to this channel, please press the like button, the share, and the subscribe button, and press that notification bell every time one of these videos drop. Peace and assalamu alaikum.
I still see your shadows in my room. I can't take back the light.